Hello everyone, this is Shrike, and today we're not playing Commander Quest. Instead, we are going to be looking at the encyclopedia, and we're going to be making a tier list. I typically don't like reaction content or tier list content, but this has been something that's been asked quite a lot, and I do have a lot of opinions on these. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through each of the relics, and then we're going to be going through the cards, and we're going to be ranking them on tier lists. This will, of course, just be my opinion. And in the background for music, I'm just going to have a bunch of No World instrumental music that I've purchased over the years. I've bought a lot of their music, and this is just the instrumental version, so there's no lyrics or anything. Rather than having to have Commander Quest music constantly pause as I tap in and out of the game. So for the relics, let's get into this right away. We're going to start with the relics that are starter relics. As the game likes to put it, they are unique relics that each commander possesses. So usually something like Lionheart, Richard can normally only have. You can randomize it so that if you randomize luckily, then different commanders could potentially get this, but you'll only ever get them at the very start. And of course, if you're randomizing, you're not always guaranteed to get them. But if you play Richard, you can have Lionheart. So if we go to the game here, the very first one is, in fact, Lionheart. Restore your commander's health by 7 at the end of the battle. Richard only. And I'm thinking that we probably want consider this in multiple ways. So S tier would be like, this is the obvious best choice. You're probably always going to want to take it. A tier is most of the time, almost certainly want to take it. D tier is, it can be good, but very niche or really not impactful, not that powerful. Gaining 7 HP at the end of each turn is nice. It's nice. It's not fantastic. It really offsets things like Cogwheel. Cogwheel a lot, which we'll get into later, but having that just, it's designed to be like the very first relic you have. You'll start at level 1. You won't have access to anything else. You'll just be playing the very first commander, Richard, with the very first starting relic, and you'll just go. And because you're just starting out, you'll make mistakes, your commander will take damage, and this will let you go a little bit further. So in that regard, it's designed pretty good. It's not going to warp the game whatsoever. So whether you have it or not doesn't change your game plan a whole lot. But I think overall it is still pretty decent. I would never like hate to take it, for instance. So I think it's probably a C tier. You could put it in B tier maybe, but there's no way, it's just not that impactful. It only gives 7 HP. And then the battles in particular, it's not even like every node that you traverse. And my music stopped here, or it's just too quiet. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, in the interest of time, we have a lot of relics to get through, so I'm going to say C tier. It is okay. It is not the worst, but is certainly very far from the best. Eagle Skull, quite good actually. Eagle Skull, you take your free placement summons in particular, take 1 damage and gain +3 attack, which is really powerful effect. It really allows a lot of your cards. If we actually go to cards in the game, search for free placement. Can I not do that? Really? You can't just search for effects? I can. I just have to do... It's case sensitive, I guess. So yeah. So, you know, an assassin becomes a 9/1 with the potential to be healed. Interesting, you can do it with things like watchtowers as well. which is pretty cool. Ambush Cav. The more units it summons, though, the more benefit you'll get from it, because you'll be getting +3 damage per unit summoned. It doesn't work if something has 1 HP. It'll just kill them instantly. So like the sheep is free placement, which interestingly doesn't show up here. Where's the companion sheep? Huh, it doesn't show up in the encyclopedia. Obviously, the companion sheep is S tier. No, I'm just kidding. It might actually show up as a curse card. No, but it can be a curse card. Well, the encyclopedia is not completely... doesn't have literally everything, I guess. But anyways, I think it's a pretty damn good card. It's very flexible. And if under the right conditions, if you pair it with some others, it can be very good that way. But so like this is a commander skill that you can grant free placement to all your cards in your hand, and that pairs with it. Great, it's fantastic. But it's also not going to, whether you have it or not, isn't going to change your gameplay a huge amount. It helps on higher difficulties to some extent, because all the units will have +1/+1, and that makes up for that attack difference. But I'm thinking it's still probably, I guess maybe A tier. Like if I could get it on other runs, rather not just the starter relic, I would definitely take it. And damage buffs are always really good. You can use it to really assassinate an enemy commander. Just drop a bunch of free placement stuff very close to them. They all get a bunch of damage buffs. You can think of it as including, there's a card that all the humans get. Might actually be a neutral card. No, you can't see this right now. It's fine. Or I can show you. Where is the tactics card? I mean, you can kind of think of like charging training, except instead of 2 damage, it's 1 damage you dealt to you. So it's better than that. And charging training is not a card I ever really use, but this costs 2 mana to play, and it's only within an area. Eagle Skull is literally every free placement card you play, so I think it's probably an A tier. I think it's really good. Next up would be Free Lines Flag. This is a fantastic. Anything that increases how many units you summon is just really, really good. Increase the number of units by 3 when summoning cavalry cards. Richard only. I think this is probably his best starter relic. It's kind of close, but it's still, I think, his best one. So especially since it scales with Oxford, it applies to Oxford Knights, and Oxford Knights are amazing. So I definitely think that's the only thing stopping it from S tier is the fact that it is Richard only, and it only applies to Cav units. Cav units are all fantastic. They're fast, they're strong. You can buff them quite easily, and if you get more of them, well, you can buff them even easier. It's really, really good. I would actually say it's better than the Skull. Maybe it is an S tier. We can always move things around too later, but make sure that these we're gonna need a lot of space here, so I would say like it's just so much value. If you're going from like 6 units to 9 units, that's a 50% increase in how many units you get. And then, of course, all of your buffs also apply to all of them. Yeah, it's just really, really, really good. I use that in the demo. I use it in a release. Anytime I took this, it was really strong. If I could have it on any other one, anytime I'm building with Cav units, absolutely, I would want this relic. Next up would be the Giant's Cross. Grants 3 additional health when granting buffs to ally units, or turn only. Again, this is fantastic. Anytime you gain buffs, they also gain 3 health. That's almost guaranteed to let them survive another hit, which means they can also deal another hit back to the thing. The only exception would be to enemy commanders. But it also procs every single time you buff something. And you tend to have a lot of ways to give buffs to enemies or to your own units, like a lot of ways. So I think that's just a fantastic relic. If you could have it every time, you would want it every time. Some of the buffs are, well, let's say hard to justify to spend in terms of mana costs. But when you also add, they also get 3 HP, it seems way easier to justify them. It makes everything else so much better. I think that's just such a fantastic relic. Now the next one, Tournament of Wisdom. Gain 1 random supply card and set it to mana cost to 0 for this battle. It is okay. I have not had great... can I do this? No. Why not, dude? So supply cards. There are, of course, a lot of them. And you can get just any random one. A lot of them are already very cheap, so the cost going down to 0 is not huge. It's nice for like something like aggressive investment. But for the most part, supply cards are very cheap. The vast majority of them are 0 or 1. So it's like, And getting a random supply card is considerably worse than many other random cards you could get. For instance, base cards, which we'll get to eventually. So I'm going to say that is both... Supply cards are nice, but a random one is considerably less nice. I would probably put it down at C. It's a nice thing to have, but the problem you have to remember is once those cards get added to your deck for that battle, they stay in your deck. So if you get a useless supply card you don't want, those become dead draws for the rest of that combat. Not ideal. The best ones are exhaust, so that they don't fill up your deck, but you still are rolling the dice every time of getting useless supply cards every turn. I don't think it's nearly as good. I honestly might even put it in a D tier. If offered this in any run, I would pretty much pick anything else over it. Like, I really don't think I'd want... So yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it in D tier here. I just don't want it. If I'm putting supply cards in my deck, I'm picking very specific ones that I need for my build. I don't want random ones. There's not really very many things that proc off of playing a bunch of supply cards. There are a few, but not very many. It is extremely niche. I don't like it. If we go to the next one, Declaration of Intent. This effectively allows you to mulligan your opening hand. It's good. It's typically, that's a base feature in pretty much every card game, trading card game or otherwise, and collectible card games. Many deck builders, but so while it is good, you can hopefully build your deck in a way that you don't have your whole opening hand as being useless, right? There's also a lot of ways to gain card draw in your deck, even infinite card draw. And on top of that, you have ways to put cards on top of your deck and stack them so that you know exactly what you're going to be drawing next. You've got relics that will tell you exactly what will be drawn. There's a lot of deck fixing stuff in this deck, so I think this is good, especially before you've maxed out your account and you've got everything unlocked. I've definitely made good use of it. Do I think it's game-changing or something I'd particularly take over others? Probably not. I think it's about on tier with gaining 7 health at the end of each one. You're definitely going to get that value. But a lot of times you might see, if you're building your deck properly, you'll just see, hey, this hand looks pretty good. I'm just going to keep it. Yeah. It has its uses. And just like if you don't take damage, the health regen doesn't matter that much. But it really makes up for your mistakes. If you don't build your deck really well, this can make up for some of your mistakes. But otherwise, if you do build it well, then it kind of goes to waste. So I'd say they're both about C tier. That makes sense. This one's a fun one. Fire attack strategies. Double the duration of a flame. So instead of lasting 6 seconds, doing 6 damage or 6 seconds, instead it's just 12 damage over 12 seconds. Which means you have to have a way to slow the things down. Or a way to deal more fire damage, which there are ways to do. Very, very limited ways. I think it's okay. It's actually better on enemy commanders, because you're going to get the full effect every single time, virtually. And 12 damage is considerably better than 6 against an enemy commander, where their HPs are quite often in the hundreds by the end of the game. Like 6 damage at that point doesn't matter, but 12, that definitely can make the difference if you do it a few times. I don't think it's great. I definitely don't think it's great. So, question is, where do I think it actually lives on the tier list? Let's say, I guess probably C tier. It definitely is really good in a flame deck specifically. If you don't have Spark Catalyst or ways to get a flame done, it's mostly just a complete waste. Maybe it isn't even D tier. Like, I don't know. I definitely use it a lot more than the Turban and the Turban of Wisdom. I'm going to say it's debatably like maybe the bottom of C tier. Let's do that. Well, this one's going to be kind of easy to do. Crouching Dragon Statue. Tactics cards are used one more time, but you increase the cost of the tactics card by 1. So, that is... It's the cost increase that's really brutal. Tactics cards are already pretty hard to deal with. Paying the cost. And if you're going to be telling me to spend even more mana on them, like, oh my goodness. It is real hard to say spend 3 mana on a fire pit or 2 mana on a spark catalyst. Like, oh, that hurts. That is not something you can easily justify. So, like, I think D tier. I really think D tier on that one. Crouching Dragon Statue. It does apply them twice, which is cool. But again, for like Spark Catalyst, applying it twice doesn't really help a whole lot. It explodes it, I think. But it's not like it's going to double the duration or anything. If you do Rain of Arrows twice, wow, that's totally not worth an extra mana for that. So I really think it's quite bad. It's good in one very particular deck where you're using War Tree, and then you could have it trigger so many more times. Or if you have like Witch's Necklace and they all become cost 0, then the cost increase doesn't matter. Maybe, but that, if given the choice in a run to pick that up, let alone starting with it, I wouldn't pick it. So I'm gonna put it down a D tier. All right, Holy Flag at the start of the battle, enhance 1 random ally summon tile. Summon 1 additional unit on top. Additional units is good. It being as a random summon tile means it might not be in the best lane ever, but you can always make value out of it in some way. So you have guaranteed value no matter what. And additional summon tiles can be really powerful with particular summoned units, where normally you'd only get 1 or maybe 2 of them adding another one. So, for example, most drill instructor. If you summon 2 of them, you get the aura twice. That's so much better. Or if you get like 2 Jins played out on it. It doesn't work for anything that's free placement, but it does work for barracks. Like there's so many cases where it's actually like really, really good to do so. So I think that's probably like a B tier. Mainly because 1 extra unit per turn. It can be really good in ghost decks too, because you can play as many ghosts as you want in the 1 tile. And they will all gain that benefit. I think that's okay. I think Eagle Skull has more flexibility in general. Actually, that's a good question. It might be as good as it is really good. You're gonna get the value out of it the entire game, no matter what. It isn't super game changing most of the time, and if you're doing a free placement deck, well, then it's gonna be considerably less useful. But more units is good. Yeah, I think A tier is correct for it. If given the option for it in the future, which it's a starter relic, so you can't. But if I was doing a run and I saw it come up, I'd be like, oh yeah. That's kind of like a soft red letter. Not which a red letter is a legendary relic, which we'll get to eventually, but okay. Not terrible. I mean, quite good actually, in fact. So it'll sit there in A rank. Now, Ancient Rosary is somewhat interesting. Grant 1 protection to all structure units on the battlefield at the start of each turn. So if your barricade is alive at the start of the next turn, it gains 1 protection. Lets it avoid 1 hit entirely. I think that's reasonable. If you're not doing a structure deck, it's kind of useless. It can't, like, okay. A lot of the structures, such as Ballista or Watchtower, really do benefit from having protection if you're hitting the enemy commander, because they can do decent damage to enemy commander. Although Watchtower is only 4 damage by default, but the Ballista has 10 damage. On higher difficulties, the enemy commander deals 20 counterattack damage. I've definitely done builds with like mass ballistas, and you spawn them around and you give them protection, and then they can shoot the enemy commander a whole bunch of times before they die. But they have to survive. So on its own, I don't think the Rosary is that great, but in combination with other things, it can be quite strong because you can keep stacking up that protection. If you have the Eagle Feather to combo with it, hey, but you have to be able to get that Eagle Feather. There's no guarantee. Then it would be giving 2 protection every time instead of just 1. I think it's B tier. In the decks that's really good, it is really good. In other decks, it's pretty bad. But it's never like useless. As long as you have all structure, you're gonna gain benefit from it. And honestly, most of the time you want all structure at least to protect against stealth units. At least be able to delay them. And counterattack builds are quite decent when you give it to your structures, because they can get wailed on and then deal their damage back. I think it's about mid. I think it's pretty middle of the road. St. Catherine's Sword, deal 3 damage to 3 enemy units each time you spend steel. This is really good for one particular reason, and that is those really pesky to reach archers or like longbowmen or anything that's out of the way that you normally want to deal with direct damage, but you don't want to fill your deck with direct damage. Nobody wants to have a bunch of arrows in your deck. Wherever that may be. Is that a neutral card? Might be. Yeah, Rain of Arrows. like spending 1 mana for 4 damage in area just to deal with some range units. It's typically not something you want in the deck. Even when you enhance it to be 6 damage, 4 versus 6 damage in Chapter 3 is nothing. Absolutely nothing in Chapter 3. But it can... so St. Catherine's Sword, if you're doing a dwarf build, you're going to be spending steel. You're going to get value from it. Almost certainly. And there's definitely plenty of ways where this can get ridiculous. I wouldn't say it's definitely not S tier. Because there's a lot of decks where if you're doing like pure grog or not really leaning into steel, you're going to get a little tiny bit of damage every time, but it's a value. It's good value. You can't really use it to directly assassinate things, but it can definitely get you out of a lot of trouble. So I think that might make it... Would I put it at A tier? Along with these? I mean, maybe. Maybe like bottom of A tier. I think it's definitely better than Rosary. And I like it more than the flag. But I can't argue that flag is more direct passive value, where the sword is random damage, and when you're really trying to optimize your deck, you want to remove as much RNG as possible. But if there's not very many things very many enemies on the battlefield, your odds of hitting them with the 3 damage are very high. So I've definitely had it save me a lot of times. I think it's an A tier. I think it's quite good. If I could get it on like any dwarf deck, I would probably take it, right? If offered. Of course, it's a starter relic, so that can't happen. But it would definitely be beneficial. Green Arrow, add 2 ghost cards to your deck, Saladin only. Ghost decks are great. However, the Green Arrow archers are pretty terrible. They are worse than militia archers. And they don't... Yes, you can play them on the same tile as your other cards, your other summons, because they're ghosts. But they also take up a card draw slot. Most of the good ghost cards are you play it for 1 mana and you get like 3 ghosts, and all of those ghosts can be buffed, and you can slam them all down at once. And playing a whole bunch of cards can trigger Cogwheel or the double exhaust relic, etc. These don't trigger really much of anything, and each individual one is a card draw. It's yes, they cost 0, but they're very weak. They're not going to one-shot anything without any buffs. Even on the lowest difficulty, they only do 3 damage. So honestly, I think it's D tier. There's very few times where I actually want to take that. It just isn't. Steelbeard, grant 1 health to ally units for every 20 steel you own. This is a fun one. However, it's definitely been nerfed. It used to give attack damage as well, and it was fantastic when it gave attack damage to go with. But right now, I just don't. I'm putting it in D tier, I believe. I can't think of times when I'd actually want to use it. Really? I usually don't want to stack up a ton of steel. I want to spend the steel. Or if I stack it up, I'm going to stack it up for a limited amount of time and then spend it. To get something like Armorsmith's really big, or what have you. But a lot of times you want to be sitting on resources doesn't get you value almost most of the time. In strategy games, it's usually better. You want to put your resources to use. So if you're playing StarCraft, if you're sitting on 4,000 minerals, you're doing bad. Unless it's like ultra late game and you're and you've got everything you could possibly want and you're maxed out and you've got nothing to spend it on. But if you're sitting on a bunch of resources like steel and you could be spending it to get more value and win faster or buff up your units, you should do that, not just sit on it. So the only way for Steelbeard giving us extra health to really gain us a lot of value would be, we have a lot of steel, so they've got a lot of extra HP, which allows our units to survive an extra hit. Probably not even multiple extra hits, because by the time you can stack up 200 steel, enemies probably have a lot of attack at that point. And that extra health, or you already have units like an owlbear that has 100 health. It's not going to care about your plus 10 HP from this. It doesn't need it. It has way better things that give attack and buff. So I think Steelbeard is really bad. I think it's, without the attack buff on it, it's just not good. Now, if it was like plus 3 health, that could stack up to be actually meaningful, but it's not. So, however, the next relic we have here, Cask of Eternity. Gain a random grog card until your hand is full. Every time 11 grog cards are used. So, you use your grog card because that's normal. This counts up when it hits 11. Your entire hand, whatever space you have available. So if your hand is completely empty, you'll get 10 grog cards added to it. And then you can play all 10 grog cards. And then the counter's back up to 10. And then the next time you play one more, it'll fill up again. It's a really satisfying mechanic. And the grog cards are quite good, especially when you're generating that easily. There's a lot of ways to generate more grog cards. And there's a lot of ways, well, there's some ways to make the grog cards apply multiple times. Which is, then allows this to go infinite. Because then, if each grog card applies twice, you only have to play half as many to get to that 11 grog threshold, which then fills up your hand, and lets you play it again, etc. It's kind of busted, actually. It's like, I think this actually just has to go into S tier, because if you're doing a grog deck, you want that. There's no reason you would never not want it. If you're not doing a grog deck directly, and you could pick that up, you absolutely would take it, because even if you only get it a handful of times, like 2 or even just 2 or 3 times in the run, you're going to get great value out of it. You're going to get so many buffs. You're going to play so many cards, which could trigger a bunch of other effects from other relics. It gives you direct damage. It gives you buffs. You can make enemy units drunk so they take extra damage. There's so much flexibility. And you have complete control over when it procs, how many cards you're going to get based on how much space is in your hand. It's just amazing. And once you get that infinite combo, you can just make your units literally just arbitrarily as big and powerful as you want. You can have their attack speed be maxed out, their attack be in the hundreds, and you can just kill anything. It is de facto an S tier. There's no question about that in my mind. All right, we only got 2 more. The Book of Forging Secrets. Forge effects no longer consumes steel to be used. This is fantastic. Every card where it gives you the option of a weak effect or spend steel to get a more powerful effect is now free. You just get the more powerful effect of every single Forge card, which is incredibly good. I think that's also probably an S tier. Like, my God, if you could have that in any dwarf deck, it doesn't even matter what you're playing. It easily goes into S tier. Like, you would want this in every single deck. There's no reason not to take this relic. The Forge cards allow you to have, like, if you're not spending anything, it's 0 mana to draw 3 cards. Okay. Or can we maybe look and see? Let's go to Dwarf Forge, and I'll show you. So, like a Steelbringer, you can just always have that 9 damage ranged attacker that ignores defense for free. Aggressive Metallurgy, you can always just give 4 attack instead of 2. You can always get 2 protection, which can also apply to your commander. you're always gonna. This doesn't cost anything to forge anyways, so it doesn't matter. But strategic resource, again, you can just draw 2. If it's enhanced, just draw 3. Free value. The defensive metallurgy is what really pushes it to be so good, especially against the hidden chapter boss, where if you get 1 protection, it doesn't really. If you spent more than 0 mana on it, or take any damage from it whatsoever, it'll just break its shield that you just got immediately, the protection. But if you get 2, it doesn't matter if it costs, because you'll go from 2 protection down to 1 when the hidden boss hurts you for spending resources. But then you're still safe for the next turn when it tries to hurt you or whatever. It makes you almost completely safe as long as you can draw this reliably in the hidden chapter boss fight. But we're not talking about how good cards are. We're talking about how good forge cards are. Are there any? Oh yeah. Well, Scrap Iron Forge is not really a forge card, but getting all these effects for free is just incredible. There's no reason not to take strategic resource. Therefore, unless, yeah, I don't. Every time I've taken this, it's been fantastic. Every time. S tier. The Radiant Relic, gain 1 random base card at the start of each turn. This is very good. A lot of base cards are fantastic, and you get the effect for the whole combat. On top of that, unless you have something that forces you or allows you to reuse base cards, use it once and then it's out of your deck and it's not going to be a dead draw in the future. There are some base cards that you probably don't want to play a lot of the time, but a lot of the base cards are fantastic to play. And there's the commander skill, where your Holy Knights get stronger and stronger the more base cards you play, which is great. And that particular combo is fantastic. Base cards are pretty good. I wouldn't say I'd want this in every single deck. Certainly not, because it does still cost mana as usual, or whatever the resource is for those base cards. Some of them cost health, like Doomsday, which weird. When we get to cards, that's, yeah. Anyways, I think this is good, but not like, it's not S tier. I wouldn't always want it, but it has some very good decks where it's possible. That is just incredible. And base cards are generally pretty good value. Like a lot of the base cards, I don't know why I can't just search for a particular type, but I'm thinking these things will be A rank. You know, if you're not doing a cab deck, obviously getting this is pretty useless. Same with improved gunpowder. But, you know, adding Ghost to your deck, I mean, sure. I mean, it's cheap. If I look at dwarves, so like pretty much all of these are pretty decent to have. Charming Waitress is, if you're doing a grog deck, it's probably less good in dwarves actually than it is in the humans. But the neutral base cards are like unbelievably good. The Scrap Iron Forge, unbelievably good. Let me show you the enhanced versions of these too. Healing Spring, fully heal, leave no trace, grant stealth to the first unit, summon every turn. That is incredibly good. Caltrops, counterattack. Retaining a card is really nice. Blade Magic Circles, incredible. The only bad one I would say is Doomsday. Unless you have like a really fast deck. But even then, if you have a really fast deck, you probably don't need the extra mana. So most of the time, Doomsday just becomes a dead draw, but the others are all just so good to have. And if you don't have them directly in your deck, having them randomly pop up is quite good. So I think, if I could take this in a lot of decks, I would take it. I wouldn't take it in necessarily all decks, but a lot of decks I would. So even though it's very random, a lot of the random effects are very strong. So I think it's an A tier. Well, that gets us through all these starter relics, and we're, oh my gosh. We are gonna have to pick this up. How am I ever gonna do this? All right, well. Common ones, Mappa Mundi, Allows you to basically cheat the route that you take 3 times. It's good. It's flexible. I think probably B tier. I think I don't always need it or want it, but it can definitely be helpful. So maybe, I mean, it can really get you some extra value, but a lot of times it also won't, because what you want are at the same, in the same column essentially. So I'd say, yeah, let's say middle of the road, B tier. Now, Ancestral Slab, draw 1 card in the next turn. Each time 10 enemy units are killed. It's pretty good. It's not game changing for the most part, but I mean, card draw is card draw, and it's unconditional card draw, really, because you're always going to be killing a lot of units. If you kill like an absolute a lot of units, like in chapter 3, quite often happens, or if it's like hordes of goblins or whatever, then it can get you quite a few card draw in the next turn. Filling your hand up is not always fantastic, depending on your deck. But it's debatable whether it's B or A tier. I think a B tier. I'm not ever really excited about it. We'll put it there. All right, the Utnori. Randomly change the move speed of the summoned unit. So the thing about this is your units fight much better when they're together, not when they're apart. I really don't like this. It's only really good if your units are particularly slow, and then the randomness will speed them up. But they won't speed them up all together, so then they'll often just run in and die. I think it's quite bad. I actively skip it most of the time it comes out. Like, I don't want it. Even if there's no other options and it's just this relic, I quite often skip it. So I have to put it in the bottom tier and just just by that metric alone. Like, these others could potentially add value. This almost certainly does not add value. It's random, and it actively makes your units worse most of the time. Yeah, you can get over there faster, maybe, but only with some of them. And if you're fighting other summoned units, that is considerably worse. Almost always. Travel Gaiwan. Restore 3 health to your commander at each node passed. It's solid. It's okay. It's 3 health is 3 health, and it's every node. You don't have to fight or anything. There's no danger. I think it's probably just C tier. Like, I'll never say no to it if offered, but I'll never, unless I'm really low health. It's a comeback mechanic, really. It can also enable certain builds that are based off of hurting yourself to gain benefits, but you can really offset those. Those are niche. You're not going to do them a lot of the time. But even if you're not doing that, it is just a bit of a comeback mechanic. Kind of like Richard's, but more general because it's every single node. So yeah, I think C tier. C tier is fine. Actually, you don't. Maybe they could be B tier. Nah, maybe like the bottom of B tier. I think that's reasonable, if only because every deck can benefit from it, except for ones that are already winning so hard they never take damage. So I'd say B tier. Okay, that's a tentative B tier. All right, what do we got? Healing Hand, fully restore health of 1 random ally unit on the battlefield. This is, it's fine. It's not great. I almost always prefer the base card Healing Spring over it. So I'm thinking probably C tier. I won't say no to it if offered, but I won't pick it over many other relics. However, the next one that we have up here, the Game Below 4, At the start of each turn, if the total mana drawing cards is 4, gain 44 mana. If it is not 4, lose 13 gold. I have never once taken this card, Relic. Not once. Absolutely not once. I don't see any reason to gamble my money on the mana cost of what cards I'm going to draw. There's a lot of deck fixing and card draw you can do, but not to that degree. Getting exactly 4, if it was like less than 4 or more than 4 as the breakpoints, that would be pretty cool actually. If it was like, if your hand costs less than 4 mana, gain gold. If it costs more than 4, lose gold. Hell yeah, I would take that in like every deck. It would be boom, way up there. Because you quite often want a very cheap deck. But as it is, it has to be exactly 4? Nah, trash. Absolute trash. Bag of gold, gain 250 gold. So this is quite good. If you've unlocked being able to remove multiple cards from the shop at once, 90 gold for the first one, 150 for the second. This one relic lets you remove 2 cards from the deck. Oh, I mean, that's pretty good. It's not going to change your game or anything like that. It's not going to give you continued value. But if I see it, I will gladly take it. Which makes it hard to place because it is a one-time benefit. But if you spend that gold appropriately, it can have a big impact. Thinning out your deck, or maybe buying some key cards or a really good relic from the shop. It's kind of quite good. Like, having gold is rarely a bad thing. I almost think it's A tier. Like, I see that and I go, yes, thank you. I will gladly take 250 gold, especially on the higher difficulties. You start with 0 gold and you have to do a whole bunch of combats to get any kind of gold. Is it worth giving up another relic for? Quite often, yeah. I mean, there's lots of these ones that I'm like, yeah, I'll just take the gold, thanks. At least the gold I can invest however I want specifically for my build. I can put it towards buying another relic, a specific relic that will actually benefit me. So I think it's actually A tier. Yeah, weird as that is. Quartz shard. Increase your commander's health by 40 when obtained. It's good. Who's gonna say no to 40 more max HP? It's not like, again, it's not gonna be game changing or anything, but it's just kind of good value. I think B tier. There's definitely better things I would take over it if offered. Like, but when offered, I really do quite often take it. Like, that is a tough one. I take it more than I take Mappa, or even this. A lot of the times when you get a random rare relic, well, this is a common relic. It comes up quite often, and given the other options of common relics that are going to be offered at the same time, yeah, I mean, 40 HP. I can't really complain about 40 HP. It gives you such a nice safety net, and at the end of chapters allows you to take the minus 20% max HP for a rare relic instead. No, it's just a random relic, not necessarily rare. It's very safe. It's very, I think I'll put it at B. It's not exciting. I don't think it's exciting enough to be an A. You can debate me on that all you want. Restore your commander's health by 5 at the end of the battle. So this is just a worse Richard's relic, but anyone can get it. The relief banner. So, have I ever been excited to take that? Never. Is it good enough to be in C? I mean, it's definitely worse than Richard's, but it's also available to everybody, not just Richard. It can't, if you're really going for a health regen deck on Richard, maybe, but honestly, it's not very good. you're taking that much damage that you need like both Richard and Relief Banner, like Lion's Heart and Relief Banner, to be healing up after every battle, you're probably doing something wrong. 5 versus 7 health is not a huge difference. It's something. It adds up over time, but it's definitely not as bad as these go. So I think it sits in C still. Neither of them are really thresholds that matter too much, I don't think. So worse than Richard, but still C tier. Dozing Rod, draw 2 additional cards on the first turn. Yeah, that's good. Gives you more options than turn 1, which quite often what you want to be able to do your general setup stuff. So it's at least B tier. I'm never that excited about it for A tier. But I want it in every deck? I mean, maybe it is A tier. The first turn is very important, and it gives you much better odds of drawing your combo or your setup for your combo on turn 1, which is very important. Yeah, I think A tier. It's card draw. It's passive. It only applies once per battle, but depending on your build, you might not want to be drawing 2 more cards every turn, because then you only really have a little bit of open space in your hand to work with and generating cards and such. If you're generating a lot of cards, whether they're Grog or Ghosts or whatever, you still need space in your hand. Your hand can only hold 10 cards. So if you're drawing 7 cards every turn, that's really bad. But drawing 7 cards on the first turn, you're going to play some. You're going to get a combo set up. And then I think that's pretty good. The Maneki Neko, getting 20 gold each time a card is added to your deck. I mean, 20 gold is 20 gold. Your deck size starts at, like 10, 11. And it'll go up to in the 20s, sometimes the 30s. Really, you want your deck to be very thin, though. So you're not going to be adding that many cards to your deck. But if you add 5 to 10 cards, you're getting decent value out of this in terms of money. I don't think it's going to be game-changing. And it's kind of slow, but it does encourage you to take more cards. I'm going to say it's a B tier. It's one of these, like, it's just okay. Maybe even C tier. A lot of decks, I'm just thinking, I don't want to add more cards to it, so this is kind of useless. So yeah, I think I'll stick in C tier. The gold influx is nice, but only if you really get it early in your campaign. If you get it late, then it's actually useless. And won't really pay off. Alright. Spiked armor, increase your commander's attack damage by 10. On lower difficulties, doesn't matter whatsoever. On higher difficulties, I've never seen it. It's hard to tell unless you really pay attention to how much HP things hitting you have. But if things are hitting you that much that you're worried about how many, like they're reaching you with like full HP orcs hitting you like 4 or 5 times. This can cut it down to, 2 or 3 times, but you're probably dead anyways. I really think this is quite bad. When offered, I never take it unless it's the only thing they're offering to me. And then I don't see any value from it. So I'm going to put it in D tier. Goodbye. Evil Hand, whenever you would gain a curse card, negate it up to 3 times. It's okay. By the way, the curse card, the letter or the hidden chapter counts as a curse card. It would negate that. There's one particular event where this is good. Well, arguably, because that's the event that gives you the box in a box in a box, which we'll get to. It's an event only one. Otherwise, there aren't that many times curse cards get added to you other than inside of combat. But I don't think this even applies inside of combat. I've never noticed it stop like Germation cards or whatever from being added to my hand. I think this is quite bad. Quite often it'll be like the only thing offered and I'll just take it because, but negating curse cards is only good in battle. And I have never seen it happen or noticed it happen. Doesn't mean it could be wrong on that. And if I'm wrong on that, then bump it up to C tier, I guess. Good enough. Spider Web Pendant. Immobilize all enemy units on the first turn. I mean, I like that. It gives you basically a free setup turn, which is incredibly valuable. You're hard pressed to find a deck that isn't useful in. The only problems it can be is that then the enemy units end up stacking up more. If you could kill the units in turn 1, no problem. Then stalling them doesn't really help all that much. And it could be harder to kill them if they are clumped up with the next wave of enemies. So, I think it's better than these. I think it's around A, maybe bottom of A rank. I'm very rarely gonna be concerned about taking it. I think it's a very safe pick, and I will almost always get value out of it. So yeah, A rank. Blueberry ink, Herb Glow ink, Dandelion ink. So enhanced tactics cards, supply cards, base cards. I guess we have to kind of think about each of these are enhancing a different type of card. There are better relics that are rarer, like just apply to all cards you get anyways. The 5-colored fine comb, way better. But obviously it's rare, not just common. Enhancing your tactics card. A lot of your tactics cards are usually beneficial to being enhanced. They can become so much cheaper and actually playable when they're cheaper. So Bluer ink, kind of good. Your supply cards are already usually pretty cheap, but enhancing them usually makes them free. They're usually 0 cost when enhanced, which is great. Makes them considerably more worthwhile. You're not going to probably have that many supply cards in your deck, or a tactics card for that matter, but when you do add them being enhanced is really quite nice. And all the base cards are incredibly better, so much better when enhanced. It's really not even funny. Like the difference in base cards in their regular form and their enhanced form is huge. I think maybe all these are quite often maybe I just stick them all in B tier, because it does rely on you adding more cards to your deck, which is not always something you want to be doing. But it does enable you to add cards you otherwise wouldn't add. So I'm thinking that they will all go into that B tier of, if you pick it up, yeah, it's pretty good. It gives you more options down the line potentially. You could argue that maybe the base card one should be an A. Yeah, maybe Dandelion Ink is just slightly better than the others. It's really hard to separate them because all of these things that they enhance become cheaper and better. So, and therefore infinitely more playable. I think we'll keep them in B tier. Debatably A tier. It's hard to put them in A tier when they're not that exciting or impactful. Peppermill, restore 5 health to your commander each time you consume a food. Again, that's pretty good, but it's not game-changing. Unless you have regular food generation, it's not going to be that helpful. When you do I put that in C tier? All these health generation ones are really catch-up mechanics. They can save you, but Ideally, if you're playing correctly, you shouldn't be taking that much damage. Obviously, I still make mistakes. I'm human too, as you've seen by my 60 whatever videos on this game, that I very much get into trouble with health, or I get really greedy. But this is a tier list, and I'm saying that's me being bad in some cases. If it's making up for a skill issue, then hard to put it into like S or A tier. Especially when a lot of times I'm not focused on food. On the lower difficulties, you don't care about food at all, really. On the higher difficulties, food is quite good, and this makes food better. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep the health regen ones in C tier. Crystal Orb, tapping the draw pile, reveals cards in the order they will be drawn. So here's the thing. A lot of the time, if my deck is small enough, I know what I'm going to draw next, if I really care, or what I'm highly likely to draw next. That makes this considerably less useful. The amount of times I've found it significantly useful is very, very low. Very low. It's not great. In theory, knowledge is power, and it's very good. I mean, it gives you information. It doesn't directly... It informs you. It does not actually improve your chances of winning very much because of that. If your play already hinges on, I must draw this card in the next turn, you're probably better off just being able to draw as many cards as possible until you get the card you want, or stack your deck so that it'll be on top next turn with various cards that can do that, like the travel card. I very rarely take it. I very rarely gain benefit from it. D tier. Guilt Bronze Decoration. Restore 5 health to your commander each time gold is used. Now, all these health regens have the niche benefit of helping in the hidden chapter boss. I think it just sticks with C tier on this one. If you're playing dwarves, it's slightly better than the humans because you have a card that spends your gold to get steel. That means you can reliably trigger this multiple times in combat, which is where you probably really want it. Otherwise, it's not very useful. If you're at the shop, you can get a little bit of health back as a bonus to also buffing up your deck or whatever. Yeah, C tier. Maybe I undervalue the health regen compared to what you guys would, but that is how I run it, and I think I've been reasonably successful. Reduce the number of card reward choices by 1. Increase the number of relic reward choices by 1. I think that's usually almost always a good choice. Oh, I skipped one here actually, but we can do this first. So where would I put this? Relics are very powerful in general. Getting more relic choices is good. You're probably going to have enough card refreshes through various means, either the meta progression or through the toy lever, etc., that you can usually just get roughly what you want a lot of the times if you know what you're looking for. Especially since chapter bosses always give legendary cards a lot of the time. You can also, in meta progression, increase the chances of getting like enhanced cards or rare cards. So I think relics, like if I have this option, I usually take it, but it's also not that impactful on its own. I'd rather another relic be in its place, something that's more impactful directly, rather than just change rewards. Because if you get that later on, it's not as useful. Although if you get it later on, relics are that's when you want relics, not cards, because your deck is almost certainly built how you want it by the end of like chapter 3. So then if it gives you a couple more options to get some super powerful relic, especially the legendary ones, then it's definitely worthwhile. Early game when you're trying to build your deck up, you might actually want more cards as a reward choice. Speaking of the one I skipped over, Tapestry, increase the number of card reward choices by 1. So if you get both of these, it's just like they kind of half cancel each other out, and you'll just have more relics to pick from. But Tapestry, I mean, I'm never going to say no to it, but I'm never going to really ask for it. So, again, I think C tier. 4 choices is good, but I'd also rather something that just directly makes my deck better, you know? Oh yeah, Toy Lover is up next. So we got Toy Lover. You can refresh the rewards once for the next 3 card rewards. I mean, it's just more choices, right? So I think we know where that will go. And the 5-tier lunchbox, gain 2 food slots when obtained. The extra food slots are nice. Especially in the higher difficulties when you just only get 2 slots. But otherwise, you really need the rucksack supply card to be able to generate multiple food reliably. So I think we we stick it in C tier. I won't say no to it if it comes up. Maybe it's a B tier, because quite often I find, at least in hard difficulties, when I'm focusing on making sure I've got food as options, I need to use food so I can spawn more food. So they don't have enough slots. So having more extra slots is pretty good, but if you don't have any food generation, then it's just wasted. So I think still C tier. Which makes sense. These are all like common relics. So the fact that most of them are lower on the tier list makes sense. But now we get to go onto the rares. So Golden Bell. This is quite rare. I've only seen it a few times, really. Gain a random grog card every time 4 grog cards are used. So if you have that with the Cask of Eternity, beautiful. Great. There's your, not quite infinite, but pretty close. It could be infinite if you have an empty enough hand, basically. That's just, that enables you to just win, effectively. If you have those 2 relics. If you don't have those 2 relics, this is just, you know, it's just got a Dwarven deck. You might have a little bit of grog and gets you a little bit more value. That makes it tough to place. Does make it a little tougher to place. It could be, where do we want to put this? On one hand, it's not doing that much on its own. It requires other things to really gain big benefit from. But grog cards are quite good. I mean, I'm probably going to take it most times I have a Dwarven deck. But if I don't have like any grog generation, or like very little, then it's less valuable. So maybe I put up B tier. I think it's as good as Dosing Rod. I mean, maybe it is A tier. I think I have to have it slightly higher because of that infinite combo. And really, if you're going for a grog build specifically, you're going to take Cask of Eternity. Unless you haven't unlocked it yet. But even if you have a regular grog deck, this... Like, if you're just doing a Griffin deck with grog, hey, that bell? Great. No complaints there. So yeah, I guess I'll stick at A tier. Improve pommel. Increase attack damage of melee units by 1. Yeah, great. Plus damage is plus damage. Hard difficulties that lets you kill a lot of things in 1 less hit. At least in chapter 1. And by chapters 2 and 3, you'll be summoning a lot more stuff. If you're doing a ghost deck, this is fantastic. If you're doing a cav deck, it's fantastic. Honestly, there's very few decks where you wouldn't want plus melee damage. It's only +1, but it is just flat. Every melee unit gets it, no matter how you summoned it. So it's not S tier, but it's definitely A tier. All right. Milk White Tassel, draw one additional card when drawing a tactics card. It's actually surprisingly useful. The only downside is you're picking it over another relic. So a lot of the tactics cards are situational. You might not always have the mana to play them, or you might not have the situation that makes it worth playing them. But you can, if you draw another card at the same time you draw it, then that's fine. You didn't waste a card draw. I think it's B tier. It really, like, these that enhance cards you get. It's just decent value. It avoids the pitfalls of having tactics cards because you're not missing out on card draw in 99% of the time. If offered that over like some of these, or like all of these really, as long as I have any tactics card in my deck, I'll probably take that instead. So yeah, okay. It's pretty middle of the road. Nice to have, but not key. Mystic Eye. Ally units have a low chance to instantly kill enemies. This is really good. And it has made a massive difference in many, many runs. I'd be almost tempted to put an S tier. Like, there's no deck that doesn't want this. Like, it allows you to kill those huge siege engines in one hit, or anything that, especially in chapter 3 where HP balloons like crazy. So they've got like massive 128 health orcs, blood orcs, or other big stuff. Being able to just instantly one-shot them with just literally any unit. It's great, and it procs quite often. And if you have any kind of attack speed buffs, it's great. Maybe like the bottom of S tier, but still. Every time I saw it, I went, oh yeah, I want that. Yoink. So. Alright. Candlestick. Steel Candlestick. Grant 1 protection to every 4th unit summoned. Now that applies to all of the units. So it's every 4th unit you summon via like a card. So if you play something with 24 units that get summoned, they all get protection on that. It's really, really good, actually. And protection is incredibly powerful. It's actually usually more powerful than attack buffs. I think that's got to be an A tier. Maybe even S tier. There's like, what deck wouldn't want this? And there's so many decks where it becomes just incredible. Because protection is the best buff. Anything that removes buffs also doesn't remove protection. So it's just, it allows you to kill enemy commanders way better. Allows low health things to survive way longer. Anything with high damage output gets increasingly more value out of it, because they're doing that high damage more and more and more with every protection they have. Yeah, it's just, I think that's S tier. That's really good. A lot of the rare ones are probably going to be high up here. Let's see, what do we got? Oh yeah, Emerald Shard. So this is just the better version of the Quartz Shard. Gives you 60 health. It's good. It's great. When you get that at the start of a run, you're like, man, I got so much to play with, really. So much health. You can afford to be a little greedier and such. I think it's still B tier. Because, I mean, just gaining health it doesn't help you win more, but it makes you safer. So I think it's still B tier, but it's decidedly better than the other one, just by the fact that you get 20 more HP. 20 HP is pretty significant. Let's see, what do we got next? Ruin Stone. Gain 1 additional mana on the first turn. You know, it's just solid value. Your turn 1. You're going to get this benefit every single combat. Only once, but your opening turn can make a huge difference, which is kind of why the spiderweb pendant is also an A tier, is that your turn 1 is like the dosing rod. Your turn 1 is really important. Having more mana on turn 1, having more cards on turn 1 allows you to set up your combo, get those annoying base cards played, get out your cards that have the auras, and then on your next turn, benefit from that, reap the benefits of that stronger setup turn 1. So I think that's an A tier. Next one's interesting. So the Builder's Hammer. Increase your commander's max HP by 5 each time a base card is used. This is tough to place. And that is because not every deck is going to have a lot of base cards. Even if you have a deck that plays a ton of base cards, say for instance it has the random base card at the start of each round, the 5 max HP is great. I think the few times I have gotten like massive max HP on my commander, I probably would have won even without it. It was just kind of fun. I've actually lost a couple of runs trying to make that happen for the meme, but so I don't think it's A tier. I think it goes along B tier here in that, again, it makes you safer. It doesn't necessarily let you win. And obviously winning is more important than not dying. You can just try again. Like, this game is not that punishing that you're going to lose like a ton of, I don't know. The runs can be kind of long. You could lose like an hour of your time if you lose the run because you got too greedy and didn't have enough HP. Mid tier, you know. I definitely won't say no to it. I definitely won't build toward it, which is kind of like what all of these are. I'm gonna have another one like this now. Jeweled Belt. Increase your commander's max HP by 3 at the end of the battle. I don't know if that's ever mattered. How many battles do you really do in these games? Even if you did 30 battles, you'd have 90 max HP by the end of the game. So at the average point, you're having like 40, 45 health more than what you had before. So in that regards, it's kind of like getting these, but it's slower. It's kind of just worse than them. I'd much rather get 60 HP or 40 HP than this. I think it's worse than the common one that gets 40 HP. Just because it takes so long to go. And you have to do so many combats, which increases your risk. With every combat, you could make mistakes and lose massive amounts of HP, and that 3 max HP really doesn't cut it. Anytime I spend 20% max HP to get a relic and I end up getting this, I'm like, it's not even gonna pay for itself. It's literally just I'm not gonna do enough combats for it to matter. So maybe C tier. You could argue for D tier. You could argue for D tier. I don't think it's good enough. Well, I got, yeah. Because it can only ever proc once. Builder's Hammer is B tier because you can proc it a bunch of times. And you have full control over how many times you proc it. You can make that judgment call whether you want more HP. You can even use it as pseudo healing during combat. So, Horner Bunty, gain 1 mana every 4 turns. I mean, who can say no to more mana? It's reliable. You have the counter there. You always know when you're going to get it next. A tier? There's never a deck that's not going to benefit from that. Or like 99.9% of decks. If you're doing a weird blood deck, then okay, fine. But you almost certainly want that extra mana. It's going to take you a while to get to that point anyways. So, all right. I think it's a solid A tier. I guess you could argue maybe S tier, but more mana doesn't always get used. If your deck's sufficiently cheap, you might not actually need it. It's not that unusual for me to go turns without using all of my mana up. So I don't think I can call it S tier. First Trumpet. Increase the attack damage of ally units summoned in the first turn by 2. I think that also probably goes A tier. It only procs once, but that first opening turn, if you're not doing... Oh, actually, yeah, depending on your setup that you need to do. If your setup involves playing a bunch of minions on turn 1 and then buffing them on turn 2, well, you get the buff and the summons all at the same time on turn 1. There's very few decks that don't want this, but it is only a one-time buff. You're not getting continual value like all of these really do. But this is really strong. Yeah, I think A tier is fine. Goros Anvil. Enhance 2 random cards when obtained. I mean, a lot of these times it's not going to enhance the impactful cards, but it also can. The fact that it's random is a little... Oh shit, my screenshot's cut off here. Hold on. I mean, it's okay. Like, it's... By okay, I mean, it's obviously... You're never going to say no to enhanced cards. But you're also... would much rather be able to pick. Right? Oh, okay, here we go. Where do we put this? That's a good question. B tier, maybe? Like, if you take it, you're going to be happy. Which a lot of these, you will be happy. Is it going to... It might be useless. It might be quite good. It all really depends on the context of your deck. And the odds of it hitting something good. That's fine. Same with the next one, which is the Dark Torch. Remove 2 cards. But this allows you to pick. And removing 2 cards is almost always absolutely incredible. I think this is just an easy S tier. Just put it up here at S tier. You almost always have cards you want to remove from the deck. Or should remove from the deck. Sometimes I'm like, my deck's so good, I don't want to remove anything from the deck, but if I really want it to be optimal, I probably still should delete things and just trim down on how many win conditions I have or whatever. Removing 2 cards from the deck. Early game, fantastic. Mid game, fantastic. Late game, could clean up your deck. Really increase your odds of getting your combos. S tier. You want this every run, really. You are giving up potentially another like S tier or A tier relic to take it. So like if offered this beside some of these other rare relics, I mean, yeah, no, I would absolutely be highly tempted to want to remove cards over, gaining protection. Actually, no, these are S rank too. So that's why I'm having such a hard time justifying that. But yeah, I'd rather remove cards than gain a mana on for turn 1. Or like a mana every 4 turns. Yeah, I mean, S tier. All right, next, injury insurance policy. Gain 1 gold each time your commander takes damage. It's not based on how much damage you take. It is instead just how many times you've been hit. Which, on higher difficulties, you really don't want to be getting hit a lot. That small amount of gold, not very good. I think this is trash. I think this is D tier. a little bit of gold is nice, but it's not something I'd take over like anything else. I'd rather have any of these. Yeah, I know, it's D tier. It's pretty easy. If it was like 10 gold, or if it scaled based on how much damage you took. Oh. What if it was gain gold equal to your missing health every time you get hit? You could have like, no, that would be ridiculous. You'd end up with thousands of gold if you played it correctly. And specifically take damage. So, for instance, Crack Shield. Grant invincibility 1 turn when an ally commander gets attacked for the first time in each combat. In each battle. Crack Shield, if you gain Venerable and then a bunch of things attack you, they don't deal any damage to you, and then they don't trigger insurance policy. You know, that kind of thing. That's why insurance policy is just... You can't... I don't even know how you would proc this enough times for it to be worth a relic slot. I don't know. Crack Shield, though, is really good. It's... It can save your ass. It can also enable infinite combos. But those are situational. I think it's definitely better. Is it better than having 60 more health? I think so, just because it does give you that potential for cogwheel shenanigans. Or just crap loads of like infinite card draw on turn 1, or if you're doing a blood cost deck with like the Alembic, Crack Shield just lets you have like an infinite turn 1 potentially. Crack Shield can completely save you in some of the later chapters if you can time it out properly for when it procs. I think A tier. I take it when offered way more often than not. So I think that says something at the very least. Hawksaw, increase attack damage of ally range units by 1. You typically have less range units than melee units. But +1 on range units is actually usually highly beneficial. More so than +1 on melee units, because they get more shots off. And like, for instance, militia archers or the bolt spitters, them getting another damage. I mean, I think is it still A tier? Because it's still more situational, but it is more impactful on the ones it does apply to. Does that balance out? I don't think so. A lot of decks, range units are not the core of it. If they are, probably A tier. If it's not core to your deck, then B tier. Nice to have. Certainly not going to be bad to have. Some decks it might even be C tier, so I guess I'll split the difference and keep it in B. All right, well, oh my gosh. This is going to be the longest video ever. Shell Mask. Select 2 summon cards from your deck when obtained and change them into tribal cards. Well, you're really only going to be using this on your basic militia cards at the start of the deck, or like curse cards. So tribal cards can be good, but you might also get some pretty bad tribal cards. If you get tribal merchants, hey, fantastic, nice. You get some of the others, situationally good. I think this is probably a C tier. If you have a really good deck going, it's kind of like a soft removal of cards. Maybe it acts as B. You can get rid of some unwanted cards and hopefully get something better. At a reasonable percentage chance, you'll get better cards. Cards that at least have more effect. And if you're doing a tribal deck, then hey, great. More tribal cards. So I think I'll stick it at B tier. I think I'd rather it over... Would I rather it over health regen stuff? I mean, maybe. Yeah. Anyways, Dragon Face tile. Common cards no longer appear in card rewards. So you only get rare and up cards. There are some good common cards, but I mean, there's a lot of good, all these neutral common cards. Well, actually, not really. I mean, Tribal Merchant, you say goodbye to bandages and military arts and stuff, but since they're common, you mostly get them early anyways. If you're playing dwarves, you honestly don't necessarily want, because you want like your guild supports. You want your strategic resource. These you're not going to be getting from cards or from rewards, so human side, I would say it's better on humans than it is on dwarves. Humans have a lot more common cards that I just kind of tend to skip a lot of the time. Or they're expensive. I mean, Protective Light is just worse than the Dwarven version. Same with Solidifying Will. I think the Dwarven common cards are definitely better. Alright. Let's see. I think maybe it's just a B tier card, maybe? Or a relic. I take it reasonably often, but about as often as these, I think, yeah. Might even be C tier, but it lets you really stack your rewards to get the key, like, epics that you want. So if you're really looking for a griffin, having this relic can help you. Better for dwarves, worse for humans, probably. If you already have your key common cards, then it's... yeah, great, take it. Alright, next up, Shamshir. We know this is very good. Grant 1 attack damage to all ally units on the battlefield each time you use 5 cards. Like, 5 cards? That's a lot. Well, no, it's not when you have this game that allows you to do infinite combos or play near infinite ones. A lot. And the fact that it keeps consistently proccing, and it applies to all of your units on the field, not just like melee or ranged, and you can just keep stacking it up. Anything like Mana Stone generation works really well with it. I think it's S tier. Like, if you get offered that, you probably want it. It really does stack up fast. Especially the farther along you get. In early game, even just 1 or 2 procs makes a pretty big difference in training. In Chapter 3, you should have your card draw engine going, or even maybe your infinite combos. And then this just procs and procs and procs and procs, and you just get huge. It's good. It's good. It's very good. Necromantic Pendulum. Gain 3 ghosts on the first turn. If you're doing a ghost deck, not bad. If you're not doing a ghost deck, it gives you 0 mana cards to play. And they're exhaust. So there's definitely things that benefit from that. More cards proccing Shamshir. More cards for like Cogwheel, which gives you more card draw. Or if you're doing a ghost deck, it's quite good. I mean, if offered, a lot of the time, you will probably want it. It's continual value every turn. It doesn't take up any summon tiles. I think A tier, yeah. It just doesn't come up very often, but when you see it, probably should take it. Yeah, why not? Horsehead Ram. Grant charge when summoning Cav units. If you have a Cav deck, you want that. You absolutely want that. Especially in combination with any kind of attack increases. It's incredible because you can just mow down hordes of enemies. So I'm thinking, what? Obviously, if you don't have Cav units, then this doesn't do you any good for you. It's definitely better on the human side. I think this really you only see. I mean, it's just listed as rare, but I feel like I only ever see it from side quests where if you have so many, you have like 3 cav units in your deck, you'll get this and a cataphract or something like that. In which case, I think it sits at 8. Because otherwise, it just doesn't seem to get offered when you don't have cav units, or you're not going to have cav units. I don't know if the game intentionally programmed that way, if that's just a chance on my part. If it's not, and you're getting it offered like as often as these other cards, then maybe lower it down to B tier. But for me personally, I think A tier. Definitely don't want it in every deck, but in any cav deck, and like it's a no-brainer. You want it. Let's see. Bone Staff. Summon an ally ghost with a low chance each time an enemy unit is killed. This seems terrible in my opinion. Not gonna lie. It is quite a low chance. And that one little ghost, it never ever seemed to make a difference to me. I think I'm putting this in D tier. I am never excited for it. Even in a ghost deck. It's like, yeah, okay. But if I'm doing a ghost deck, I have so many ghosts already. I'm not even going to notice the impact this has if it does have impact. It has the benefit of summoning the ghost right where the thing died. So you don't have to... That is also a downside in that you don't have a card to play. Playing cards can proc Shamshir, can proc card draw, all kinds of other things. So, yeah, I think just if I see it, I don't usually take it, if ever, really, unless it's the only thing offered. I'll take it pretty much anything else over it. So let's go to the minecart. Gain 10 steel at the start of each turn. That's as good as a base card for free every single turn. Like that's good value. Obviously, it's only going to show up for dwarves. Because humans don't have steel. So we don't need to worry about placing it with both races in mind. I mean, if you see that, your dwarves, you're almost certainly going to be using steel in some way or another. I can trigger this Ketrin's Sword. If you don't have free forging, you're going to be wanting that steel constantly. Like, honestly, I think A tier. You're never going to say no to free 10 steel every turn. That could be let loose from your catapult, which is hugely impactful. And it's not a card draw, so it's not diluting your deck at all. Yeah, no, just good. Very good. Might even be S. I don't know if I'd say it's S tier. It's not going to be game winning, that's for sure. Paper Airplane. Deal damage equal to the number of cards in your hand to the enemy commander at the end of each turn. You have a ton of card draw. Your hand is always full at the end of the turn. Then you're doing like 9-10 damage to the enemy commander each round. It adds up. It can work. It's not that impactful from my experience. Most of the time it's just doing a little bit of chip damage. I usually don't even... I'm tempted to put it in C tier. Just because it doesn't have... It can only ever proc once at the end of the combat. It can only ever do up to 10 damage. There's not a lot of room to really blow it up into something amazing. So I think just C tier. It's kind of mediocre. There's not a lot of potential there. Compound interest calculator. Your current gold increases by 5% every time you skip a card reward. This is an interesting one. I kind of I like the design of it, because once your deck, you want your deck to be slim, so you're drawing your really good cards way more often, right? So you want to be skipping cards and only accepting very impactful additions to your deck. It also, because it triggers off its percentage increase, the more gold you have, the more gold you get, encouraging you to delay going to the shops. And therefore, encourage you to do more combats early on, or to pick up relics like the bag of gold. Now, 5% is not a lot, let's be honest, but it is compound. You can get a lot of gold, but by the time you get a lot of gold from it, you're out of time and you might not have any more shops in front of you. So it's a kind of a dicey, gotta know when to pull the plug on it and just spend your gold. And you usually want to remove cards early if you can help it. So, it's a tough one to put. I think I put it in C tier. It's not nearly as good as the bag of gold. The bag of gold is just an immediate influx of 250 gold. This is 5% over repeatedly over time. It just takes so long to compound up. And it is and you have to be giving up card rewards to do it. So it's not like a guaranteed. If it was like 5% every node, hell yeah, you'd be considering it a lot more, but I think C tier is fine for it. 5-colored fine comb. All cards offered as a card reward will be enhanced. The number of card reward options is reduced by 1. You get higher quality but less cards offered. I think it's fantastic, to be honest. Getting an enhanced card means I don't have to stop at a rest site to enhance it. And that is that value in its own makes it so good. And it's got to be better than B tier because the individual inks only apply to one type of card. This applies to literally all cards, making these completely redundant. It just outclasses them in every way. Pretty much every deck could want this. You really don't, if you have any amount of card refreshes from meta progression or from toy lever, whatever, then this is just, you want it. Would you take it over some of these though? It might only be A tier. Especially because a lot of these will benefit you no matter what stage in the game you are. Whereas this, really you want to get it early to mid. Earlier the better. Because at a certain point you're just not going to be getting cards anyways, so. I think A tier then. I think A tier. Definitely higher than B tier. Alright, we got some epic ones next. So these are truly powerful magical items if used well. So these are going to be more niche, but very powerful. Drunk can now be granted to the ally commander. I believe this also allows you to hit the enemy commander with grog cards. It doesn't say that, but that seemed to happen when I tried it. It's okay. It's even in the infinite cask drunk grog decks, I don't think I really cared about this. I don't need to make my own commander drunk, and casting on the enemy commander is only good for the sake of burning through more grog cards to generate more grog cards. Because at a certain point, you just kill every enemy unit, and there's nothing to target with the venomous grog or venomous wine, whatever it's called. So, honestly, I don't think it's very good. It might even be like C tier. It has its very niche use. But like, man, most of the time I just don't want it. Even in those cases, I just Unless it's the only thing offered, I'm probably going to take something else. Like, I'd rather get health regen than this. Yeah. Okay. D tier it is. Pawn, summon 5 infantry units in the same turn to gain 1 additional random infantry summon card. This is incredible, but not for the reason you think. Because you can get, you know, if you're a dwarf, musket sharpshooter. Or if you're human, you can get Jin, Guide to the Afterlife. Both incredibly good cards that you basically never ever see. But this thing can pick any random infantry card. And it doesn't really respect those rarities. So you can get them way more consistently if you have Pawn. Now, these are all epic, so you don't really see them very often whatsoever. But if you have a deck that can play a lot of infantry cards, then this can be incredibly powerful. If you do not, you're not playing 5 infantry or more every single turn. Actually, let's look at really, where's the ghosts? Ghosts are infantry. So I think the easiest deck rock this in is ghosts. And in which case, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Otherwise, this is tough to place. It has so much potential, but it can also just do nothing in most decks. So I don't know. You know, a lot of times I'm just not going to take it, but when you do take it, great. So maybe C tier. You could argue B tier, but it just applies so nichely. The other ones are going to be very similar here. So the bishop, use 3 tactics card in the same turn to gain 1 additional random tactics card. The mana of the added card is reduced to 0 for this battle. Get a random tactics card. Thankfully, it gets reduced to 0 cost. Otherwise, this would be trash. But a 0 cost tactics card is, it's pretty good. You do have to be able to use 3 in 1 turn, which is hard to do. Unless you're doing like the infinite Spark Catalyst combo. In which case, if you have that, you just auto win anyways, so you don't need this. I don't think it's very good, to be honest. I think it would be good in a tactic specific deck, which is extremely niche and doesn't happen very often. I think I put it in D tier. I think I'm just going to put it down here in D tier. Knight. Summon 3 cav units in the same turn to gain 1 additional random cav unit. Gets reduced to 0 cost. I don't know if I've ever had that proc. I really don't. I've done a lot of cav decks. It's so incredibly rare to happen. And if you already have a cav deck, chances are you put them through Wacky Lab and they're really powerful on their own, and you don't want just a random 0 cost cav unit. Probably. But I think D tier. The infantry one's only C tier because the epic cards are infantry. They're those mythic Jin, etc. are just, that puts it up to C tier, but the others, yeah, D tier. Alright. Jar of Fire, increase the damage to all flame by 1. This is a double-edged sword because it applies to all flame, not just yours. And unless you're doing a flame deck, like Infinite Spark Catalyst, this will just hurt you more than it will help you. And if you have the Infinite Spark Catalyst, you really don't need this. You don't need it because you just win anyways. So I think this is actually just trashed here. It'll just hurt you more than it'll help you. So into the bottom of D tier here. I never get it when I want it. And even if I do get it, it can still backfire on me. The enemy uses a flame way more than I do. Okay. Light Catcher, add 1 more of the exact same card each time an exhaust card is added to the deck. So if you add like a bandage to your deck, You get 2 of them. Huzzah. I mean, it's okay. I think it's just a C tier. It can be good value if you're going for something specific in exhaust decks, but otherwise, yeah, it can be very powerful, but it can also just be not something relevant to you whatsoever the vast majority of the time. And when it does benefit you, it's not, I don't think, that game changing. Heavy card, draw 2 fewer cards and gain 1 mana at the start of each turn. Okay, so I do have a bit to say on this. Drawing 2 less cards. So instead of drawing 5 cards, you're drawing 3 cards a turn. Base. Even if you have a card draw engine where you can draw a lot of stuff, it's like, even if Cogwheel, where every card you play draws a card, this is still not very good. I think it's still terrible. It doesn't leave you with enough to work with. It's just too few cards. You'll have very few options. You'll have to play them. And then it requires you to have a card draw engine going to proc off of those. And you're just basically forced into playing whatever you draw. And that is not good for a strategy game. It's a D tier. Death Mask. Deal 2 damage to all enemy units on the battlefield each time a base card is added to your hand. This is kind of cool. Kind of trash in chapter 3. But first 2 chapters, pretty good. Let me get the image here. There you go. C tier. It's not going to usually be game changing. It's definitely helpful. I will admit. I have had it come up where I was like, yeah, hey, this is doing pretty good work. It's killing those ranged units for me, but chapter 3 is just, even if it is 2 damage to everything, it's only happening when I draw the base card. If I have a card engine going, or like card draw engine going, and I'm drawing tons of base cards repeatedly, or if you have that this A rank base card or the relic that gives you a base card at the start of every round. Hey, I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, you can start proccing a lot of times, which can let you wipe the board. But hey, it's not really going to help you kill the hidden chapter boss. A lot of the chapter 3 enemies are 30 plus HP. Yeah, it's okay. However, the next one's really good. Eagle Feathers. Grant 1 additional protection each time protection is granted. Like, yes, protection is incredibly good already. Especially if you're doing like a Forge Dwarf deck. And then now you could be giving yourself 3 protection to your commander and to any surrounding enemy or allies. Yeah, that's just so good. I think almost every deck wants this. And if you don't have any protection cards in your deck and you get this, you start adding protection cards to your deck. Like it is just, or relics. Like it is just so good. Yeah, I think that's easy S tier. I always want it whenever I see it. So yeah. Oak Frame, reduce the mana of 1 random card to 0 for 1 turn and grant exhaust at the start of each turn. This I have used to success, but it also gets a little scary if the fight goes on too long and then you're like, oh god, I only have like 5 cards left in my deck and they're all going to be turning into exhaust if I'm not careful. Of course, you don't have to play the card. It does convert to 0. It's good in a very expensive deck, but there are also better options such as Clamp over there. So Oak Frame. Where would I put this? It's pretty situational. I think C, it is quite powerful in the right circumstances, but making your stuff cost 0 once, because then you won't be able to play it again. You have some other things that trigger off of exhaust, then it gets even better, but it does require a lot of setup in the correct type of deck, and it's definitely not terrible. I would still take it over most of these, I think, or like, yeah, all of these. Yeah, okay, C tier. I can't really argue about putting it higher than that, though. Alchemist Ointment. Grant a flame immunity to ally units except structures. This is really nice. It's full on immunity. And the enemy does use a lot more flame than we usually do. Unless you're playing a Spark Catalyst deck, you probably don't have that much flame generation. Complete immunity to it is really nice. It only comes up in like a handful of fights, but when it does, you're not going to say no to this. If it gets offered and there's nothing too exciting, if you're not getting offered this stuff, yeah, you'll probably take it. E tier. I think that's fair. Next, Wheelbarrow. Reduce the mana cost of summon cards with 3 or more mana by 1. If you have anything else that reduces the cost of them, obviously, you stop getting benefit from this. But if you just have like a raw owlbear, it comes 2 mana instead of 3. It's decent. It's chances are you want a cheaper deck. Frees you up from having to put it through Wacky Lab or something like that. And hoping for mana reduction. I think it's definitely decent. How good? I'm not quite sure. I'm usually hesitant to put 3-cost mana cards in my deck anyways, so this opens up more options. I'd say B tier. I'd take it about as often as some of these other ones, yeah. Rusty Nail doubles the health of ally structure units. If you're doing a structure build, you probably have so many structures you're placing already that you don't really care if it has double health or not. I think I just put this in D tier and not. Have I ever taken this and cared about it at all? Ever? I don't think so. Not once. Next. Charcoal Iron. Increase the duration of a flame by 6 seconds. Didn't we have... Oh, yeah. Well, that's interesting. So, fire attack strategies, which is, a starter relic. So, very limited. Doubles duration from 6 to 12. This increases it by 6 seconds, so it goes from 6 to 12. I assume if you get this in addition, then you'll end up having 24 second, which nothing's going to survive for 24 seconds. They're going to reach you at that time, I think. I don't think this is very good, to be honest. It is the equivalent 99.999% of the time to the starter relic, but everyone can take it. I think I'd probably just put it in the same tier. If you get both together, which I've never done, then okay. It's fine. Put it in C tier along with the book. It's not complete trash, but it does have the drawback of it applies to the enemies of flame as well. So if they flame you, it goes twice. So, gee, I don't know. I will keep it in C tier, but maybe both of those should actually be D tier. It is, you do get use out of it if you're doing a flame deck. That's the only, yeah, okay. And yeah, it's fine. It's okay at best. Clamp. Set the mana cost to the second card from the left to 1 at the start of each turn. This allows you to do things like manipulate where in your hand cards are to try and get it to the second slot so it becomes cheaper. So if you have a bunch of expensive cards, you can get a bunch of things to be 1 cost instead. If you have a very cheap card deck with a bunch of 0 and 1 cost things, you're not going to get much value from this. But it can be quite good. I think it's still a C tier. It's just too situational. I'll just put it here. A lot of the times, I'm building my deck to be cheaper anyways. If you're doing hidden chapter runs, and you're finding your deck to be too expensive, then absolutely pick that up. Otherwise, you want your stuff to be very cheap for hidden chapter anyways, so. Alright, Poison Fang. Deal damage equal to the remaining mana to all enemy units on the battlefield at the end of each turn. So if you have a ton of mana generation, or even just excessive, then you're being wasteful to begin with. And this is really just making up for you being wasteful. But you can also intentionally do it by not spending your mana on a turn and then wipe most things out on the battlefield. So it is quite powerful in situations. So I think it's still C tier. It's not trash by any means. It is damage to all enemy units. Just a global damage proc. Just means there's definitely been builds where I've had a lot of mana generation. I'm like, if I had that, oh, it'd be great. Like if you're doing a mercenary, lots and lots of mana stone type deck, then that would be quite good. Quite good. But outside of that, it's tough to really say. Undying Ember. Grant +1/+1 to units summoned on a summon tile that wasn't used in the previous turn. I like this one quite a lot. I don't really know why it's epic, but it can add up quite a bit. I think it's B tier. I think it belongs here in B. I mean, most decks can. I mean, pretty much every deck can benefit from it. So maybe A tier. It's just not that crazy impactful. It's like kind of like every second turn you're getting +1/+1 to some summon units. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it in. I'd say low A tier. Let's do that. All right, what do we got here? Explosive tag. Increase the range of explosions by 50%. I don't know if I've ever actually used this. You have to be doing such a specific deck. And even then, in that Infinite Spark Catalyst deck, you don't need increased explosion range. You just don't need it. So I'm going to say D tier. It's just so incredibly niche. And in those niche cases, you don't need it. All right, oh my gosh, we still got a ways to go. Okay. Owlbear Oil. Increase damage of all explosions by 10. Again, I mean, it's okay. D tier. If you're doing an explosion deck, you probably are doing Infinite Spark Catalyst and you just win anyways. But are there any other actual viable decks that aren't just Spark Catalyst? I don't know if there really are. So yeah, I think anything related to that just kind of has to be D tier. Trainee Medal. Gain 1 barracks card. Reduce the barracks cooldown to generate units by 2 seconds. This is really cool. I really like this card. Hold on. I think like barracks decks are really good. Any human build can really benefit from doing it, but you really want to be putting the barracks into Wacky Labs and getting a whole bunch of them. But the reduced cooldown is really good. If you're doing a barrack stack, this is like makes it so much better. If you're doing a barrack stack, you probably don't actually need it though, because it's so strong already. I think I put it C tier because even if you're not doing a barrack stack, having a barracks card is still quite good a lot of the time. It just generates units constantly. If any kind of buffs for them, they get better too, so it's definitely less niche than some others. And, you know, barracks are good, so. Our next one, though, is the Beast Claw. Grant +1/+1 to all beast units on the battlefield each time a beast unit attacks. That's any beast attacks. All beasts get +1/+1. And then that, of course, stacks. So the more beasts you have, the more procs you get, the stronger they get. The more they kill, the more they attack, the more they get bigger. This on its own is a win condition. As long as you have like one or maybe two beasts, this is a win condition. By the way, the companion sheep, if you're not playing on a difficulty where it's a curse card, is in fact a beast and can proc these if it has at least one attack, which it will very quickly get one attack through the Beast Claw. This is S tier. Like, Beast Claw is fantastic. Like I said, it is a win condition on its own. Really, you need one beast, and there'll be so many beasts available to you, whether it's eagles, which are great, and you should probably take them anyways, or owlbears, which are pretty damn good. Even if you just have the sheep, I would still take the Beast Claw. If I see it, and my deck doesn't have any beasts, I will still take the Beast Claw. Easy S tier. In fact, let's put that on the top row for sure. Okay, let's increase breastplate, reduce the mana of summon cards by that summon only one unit by one. So this is both great and also not so great. Because chances are you're going to be increasing how many units you summon either through this guy, the Red Notice, which when we get there, that'll be S tier, don't worry. Which will then completely negate this. They unfortunately do not stack. Until then, it's pretty decent. I mean, your owlbear, if you just have a vanilla owlbear, it becomes 2 mana instead of 3. Your steel catapults become 2 mana instead of 3. You know, stuff like that. It's okay. I think we put it C tier. Just it's definitely not exciting. It's probably not going to win you any games. If you, for some reason, have no way to increase how many units your summon cards summon, then it's okay. Yeah. Now, the next one I'm extremely biased on. The Gecko Brooch. All rest events become the Wacky Works lab event. Yes, Wacky Works can ruin your cards, but more often than not, it produces win conditions. It just makes your really good units incredibly strong most of the time. And if you're playing optimally, you're not taking that much health damage. You probably don't. How many times do I actually heal at rest sites? It's not that often. I think this is S tier. I think it's fantastic. You do miss out on card enhancements. That is the only catch. Is that if you, so like maybe you could argue it's A tier. You know what? Maybe it is A tier because there are times I've turned it down because I'm like, I'm really low health, or man, I've got a lot of cards I need to enhance. Yeah. Okay, but it's a very high A tier. I love this. I love this relic. When I see it, I'm like, oh yes, I'm gonna get up to so much mischief. Putting things through Wacky Labs. Yeah, okay. A tier. Fine. Oh, I like this next one. So the Bloody Cloak. Double the attack damage of ally units with one remaining health on the battlefield. So the blood effect reduces your health down to 1. But if you have like the Eagle Skull and you use that on a 2 health thing, they get +3 attack and go down to 1 health instead of 2. So they've got increased attack, and then the attack gets doubled by Bloody Cloak. It's a really good combo with replacement like militia archers and stuff like that. Like, oh, it just gives so much value. I really like Bloody Cloak. I really do. It is absolutely niche. How often are you going to have ranged units with exactly 1 health? Not really that often, but when you get it, oh, it is powerful. It is very powerful. But I think I actually put it in B tier here. Realistically, I take it more often than I should, but I think it probably belongs at B tier. Yeah. All right, that's pretty good though. When you get the right circumstances, doubling the attack, especially for ranged units, especially when you can do free placement of them wherever you want or need to, you can just assassinate things really easily. All right, now we're getting into the legendaries though. This is where the real juice happens. The Art of War. Reduce the mana of supply cards by 1. A lot of supply cards are 0 cost when upgraded. That is true. But when unupgraded, they're often 1 mana, or even maybe 2 mana, or 5 mana. However, if this saves you having to enhance them, makes them cheaper. Reduce the cost by 1. I mean, it's just good. If you pick that up, you almost certainly want it. Like, I don't know if I call it S tier, but it definitely makes things a lot more playable and saves you a lot of value. I'd definitely say it's A tier at the least. All right. So, Organizer. Draw 1 additional card each turn. Card draw is powerful. You want card draw. It is 1 extra card per round. Like, Dosing Rod gives you once at the first turn where you really want to have a big spiky setup turn. This is drawing an extra card every turn. Honestly, I do find myself not taking this a lot of time because a lot of time I have other card draw, or because I can never really rely on getting this. I guess that's why I don't build towards it. But if offered, but you're being offered it alongside other legendaries, almost always. Like at the end of a chapter. Drawing 6 cards versus drawing 5 cards a turn. I mean, if you have it in combination with the heavy deck, it kind of balances out a little bit, but it's like, that's a bit much. I think I actually just put it in B tier. Chances are you have better card draw and then you have more control over it. I don't know. You could argue it's A tier or even S tier. It depends on how much you want to value. I don't personally get excited about it. I think there's better sources that I'll get to shortly here. The Scepter doubles the number of units summoned first in each battle. This is so good. Like, there isn't a deck that you don't want this in. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You can always benefit from this quite a lot. Even if you're just doing a deck that summons very few units per card, those are going to be impactful, right? Doubling how many you get. And if you're doing a deck where you're summoning a lot of units with 1 card, this explodes in value. And then if you can do any kind of buff follow-up, easy S tier. Silver Cloak. Reduce the health loss by 1 whenever an ally commander loses health. This is cool. This is what allows you to do all kinds of silly stuff in the hidden chapter boss. Outside of the hidden chapter boss, not the greatest. I mean, like, it's always nice to have. There is one danger battle where they add Germation cards, which cost 2 health to get out of your hand, and they multiply in your deck, etc. This helps with that somewhat. It's definitely an easy A tier. Whether it's S tier to you or not is up to you. I mean, you could argue it's S tier because if you see it, you're going to take it. There's no reason not to take it. Every single deck can benefit from this. You're going to take damage at some point or other. This will reduce that damage. And if you're doing a hidden chapter boss, which let's just assume you are doing a hidden chapter for these, because that's really your penultimate, or that is your ultimate challenge. Arguably, the bugged chapter 3 boss might be more challenging than it, but hey, you do have to keep in mind that every mana you spend against the hidden chapter boss, it's dealing damage to you. So if you have 1 mana cost cards and this reduces it by 1, you take no damage. You take 0 damage. Boom. Which is really elongates your ability to live without having to have a bunch of health regen stuff. Which most of these health regens won't actually help you in combat, so you're gonna get value out of it. I think it's an auto pick when you see it almost always, so S tier. S tier it is. Lock. Reuse base cards. So normally base cards you use them once and then they're gone for that combat, but they give you the benefit of the whole combat. Being able to reuse them means they won't go away. And you can keep applying the effect multiple times into combat. That can be really good if you're doing particular ghost decks, or maybe if you don't have this relic here, the one that gives you a random base card every turn, but still want to proc Holy Knights. This can be okay. But a lot of the base cards, you don't want too many effects going. You just don't. Like the base cards, like Healing Spring, you only really want it once. Cemetery, you might want multiple times. But remember, you gotta also spend the mana every time you play it. So like Cemetery would be good. Plate Forge, probably less good. Maybe you want multiple Altars of the Fallen, but who's gonna spend 2 mana for that every time? It's probably not gonna happen. Like most of these are balanced around, I guess, multiple mining contracts if you have them cheap. But the neutral ones, again, multiple stealth doesn't help. Multiple retain is almost always overkill. Multiple blade circles would be good, but again, you're having to spend a lot of mana to do that. It's just most cases you just don't want multiple instances of it, so I don't think it's very good, really. So I think what we're gonna do is I'm actually just gonna stick it in, honestly, D tier. If you're doing like a hammer build to get max HP, maybe then you want it, and you can just keep playing the base card a whole bunch of times. But you'd also have to pair it with mana gen or some way to make the base card free, which you can do with foods. So if you did the base card food, that gives you a random base card and set to the 0 for that combat, and then you could just use it infinite times to get effectively infinite max HP with build hammer. Maybe that is like extremely niche and extremely overkill, and doesn't win you the game. It just keeps you from dying. So I don't. Yeah, D tier. Bronze Hand, grant +1/+1 to summon cards with mana of 1 or less. This is great. This is very strong. Again, ghost decks get so many things, so many synergies, don't they? Huh? They're all 0 cost melee units, some range units. I think this is just an easy A tier at the very least. It might be S tier. If you're building properly, most of your cards should be 1 mana or even free. Sometimes your powerful cards are 2, but your most powerful cards that are 2 or 3 cost +1/+1 doesn't matter to them. When you're summoning tons of small little things, 1+1/+1 does matter. I don't think I can call it S tier, just because it doesn't scale any wild amounts. It's not going to be a win condition on its own. It's just a little bit of value. It's good value. It's consistent value. It's better than the torch, but well, yeah, in most cases it's better than torch. But I think A tier. All right, Golden Axe, gain 1 gold each time you kill an enemy unit. This is one way to get like a metric crap load of gold. But my problem is, by the time I get this offered to me, I usually don't have much more need for gold. I'll be in like into chapter 2 or chapter 3. And then I have to go to a shop and I've already got my build going. So like I recognize it as quite powerful. Get so much gold, but then you have to be able to spend that much gold. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. You could argue it's A tier, but I don't want to think about it anymore. The Witch's Necklace. This is incredible. It's very, very, very powerful. It's what allows you to do quite a lot of infinite combos, like the Spark Catalyst deck, for instance. But you do need to be able to get 3 copies of the same card in your hand at once. So it is situational. But when that happens, they all become free. And a lot of times that happens when you're generating cards. So you need something that, like the Spark Catalyst infinite combo, every time you play attack this card, it adds more to your deck or to your hand specifically. And then you get 3 of them, and then they're all free, and then they're taxes cards, so it goes into an infinite loop of you always have 3. I think I easily put it in A tier. You should take it. Even if it doesn't give you value, it opens up possibilities for those you automatically win the rest of this campaign. And that opportunity is worth potentially losing out on some of these. Like I would take this over, +1 mana on the first turn. Because that possibility of those beautiful infinite combos is more enticing to me than +1 mana every 4 turns or whatever. So I'm going to put it in that A tier. I don't think it's S tier just because it is a little situation. You can't always benefit from it, but the greed in me says take it quite often. Incandescent Furnace. Reduce the needed steel consumption of steel by 10. Take this. Take this card. If you are playing dwarves, which this will never get offered to you as humans because obviously it would be useless. This card, or this relic, take it. You can have your gyrocopters shoot infinitely. Forever. Just get their, 10 damage AoE for free. So many of your things that cost steel. Oh, suddenly those let looses, they're all free. Same reason why like the Forge cards are so, like the Forge relic is so good. This makes so many more things possible. It's dirty as hell. It's way better than generating steel most of the time. If you see this, take it. Take it. Easy S tier. Blue Rosary. Oh god, man, this relic. Gain mana as mana stones whenever you gain mana. So if you would get 4 mana at the start of your turn, you would instead get 4 mana stones. Now, if you pair that with something like Lightcatcher Archive, exhaust cards will use twice, then it's like you're doubling your mana. Hey. However, if you have like a crap load of card draw and your hand's constantly filling up, and then you're just filling it up with. So let's say you somehow have like 5 mana every turn. You get 5 mana stones, and then it draws 5 cards, and your whole hand is full. And you're just like, It's very easy to get your hand full of cards doing this, and it might not always pay off. A lot of times, you'll just be kind of wasting your time unless you have something to combo with it. This backfires on me more often than it helps. It can I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I'm actually just gonna put it in the C tier. Down here. Can it be fantastic? Yes. Can it allow you to do the crazy mercenary mana stones thing? Yeah. Is it necessary? No. Can it backfire on you and ruin your deck because you can't draw what you need to draw? Yes. I don't like it that much. Well, that's me. I've had less success with it than you might think from it. All right. Cogwheel, draw a card each time you use a card. Take damage equal to the number of cards in your deck each time the battle starts. So if you have 15 cards in your deck at the start of combat, you take 15 damage to your commander. So you might want to include a bandage in your deck or have some kind of passive healing, etc. Maybe then you stop at a rest site every so often to top up your health. But this gives you potentially infinite card draw, as long as your deck is cheap enough and can produce mana. Or so like your mana stones, for instance, they cost 0, they give you mana, they become now card draw and give you mana. So it's like incredible value. Cogwheel is incredibly powerful and just opens up so many infinite combos. I'd be kind of a fool not to put it in S tier. It is a little scary if you don't have any health regen or like a lot of rest sites to go to or anything like that. And maybe at the end of chapters you have to take the heal instead of the relic. But it allows. This didn't used to be legendary, and they changed it to legendary because it was so good. It's that good of a card. You should almost always take it. As long as you feel like you're not going to immediately die from taking that health hit. If you have a huge deck, for instance, if you have 30 cards in your deck, probably don't take this. Probably don't. All right. Lightcatcher Archive, S tier. Easy S tier. Exhaust cards will use twice. There are so many good exhaust cards. Like an incredible amount of good exhaust cards. And every mana stone, of course, is exhaust. So then you're getting double value out of them. S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier. It allows you to do so many win conditions. It's ridiculous. The only combat where it backfires is the one where the enemy commander does damage to you, your commander, your ally commander, based on how many exhaust cards have been played in that combat. Then you might get completely screwed and have to win very fast. But if you have Lightcatcher Archive, you probably have a pretty fast deck and can probably win before you take too much damage. Or maybe you have a Cracked Shield or something to go with it. All right, Chef's... Wow, it's a Chef's Hat. Every food effect activates twice. I'm a little surprised it's legendary. It is definitely good. But unless you're doing it, I do turn it down quite a bit. Food is powerful on higher difficulties. I give it that. I'm thinking A tier. Getting double heal from green tea, or getting 2 0-cost base cards, or what have, or 2 summon cards. Double food is really good. As long as you have like the rucksack to generate food, you'll just be getting a lot of value. It'll be random value most of the time, So it might not pay off. It might dilute your deck. But hey, it's good. I think it's A tier. There's a lot of other things you'd want over it for your specific build. But if there's nothing specific to your build you need, and you see that, absolutely take it. All right, the shop ones are gonna be probably pretty underwhelming. Peridot Ring, choose a supply card that will always be drawn first. They have tactics and summon and base cards. If you do the Wacky Labs and you get the negative effect of it always being drawn last, this does not negate that. The Wacky Works negative applies instead. So you can't circumvent that downside with these, unfortunately. That would make these probably a lot better. But this allows you to, for instance, some base cards that you really want on turn 1 to set up. You can guarantee that you will always draw it. A lot of the base cards can get Vanguard, which will do that as a base effect, like the Scrap Iron Forge. When this is enhanced, it gets Vanguard, and then it gets that effect just because you enhanced it. But not all of them do. Getting a summon card at the first turn. If you've really buffed up through Wacky Works Labs a card to be like absolutely incredible, then maybe it's worthwhile. Maybe. Tactics card, you're probably never going to want a tactics card on turn 1. There just isn't anything that's super important that I can think of. Supply cards too, for the most part. These are usually pretty expensive, like 200 plus gold. So, we gotta think about how this is gonna, where am I gonna place these? I think probably just dump them all in C tier or D tier, to be honest. Maybe the base cards in C tier and the other ones are in D tier. The amount of times I've used these are extremely low. They just aren't easy to make use of. And well, the main thing is that they're just expensive. They're so expensive. All right, let me show you. All right, so Diamond Ring, the base card. I think that has the most use of any of them. So I'm putting that in C tier. The others in D tier. I don't care whatsoever. Coupon book. Receive a 30% discount on all items in the Goblin Shop. I don't think the discount's steep enough for it to pay for itself. I have to be able to get that amount of gold. I have to be able to go to a shop, and then I have to have enough things in the shop for me to want to spend on. All of that, and then this coupon book usually costs like 180 on higher difficulties. I think is what it usually costs to buy. So I have to save 180 gold. Am I really going to be spending enough to make that worthwhile? Probably not. I think that's fairly bad. It is kind of nice to make removal of cards cheaper, but even then, I don't know. I just put in D tier. There you go, down here. Not very good. Golden Sword. Grant ally units +1 attack damage and +1 health for every 150 gold held. You really have to have a gold deck going for that to work. And 150 gold for +1/+1? It was like every 50 gold. Oh, yeah, dude. Sure. As is, no. Nah. I've never both got a lot of gold and saw that for sale and wanted to keep my gold in order to get that marginal buff. D tier. Warehouse key. All items in the Goblin Shop will no longer be sold out. I don't think I've ever used this to any benefit. If I'm adding cards, I probably don't want to buy a whole bunch of the same card. It's really expensive and takes a long time and dilutes the deck. I think it's just D tier. I don't know how that really functions with relics. You could buy 2 of the same relic. That could be insane. I've never done it. I don't know how I would ever want to do it. I'd have to have so much money to begin with to be able to buy that and another relic that I want, and they have to both be there. And no, I think all these shop relics are pretty bad value. Now the events. These are even less likely to come up, but in random event tiles, you can get Goblin Savings. Goblin Savings is pretty good. It is pretty good. If you're not going to go to any shops in that chapter, probably take Goblin Savings. I think it's pretty decent. It also prevents another bad event if you have this from them taking like half your gold. I think I'm gonna put that in like a B tier. A sad face badge. So I think this happens in the event where it asks you to leave a review. And you're like, no, I won't leave a review. And then it doesn't give you any gold. I think it gives you this. Always remember that your choice brings despair to some. Obviously, it doesn't do anything. Obviously, it's not good. By design. So D tier it is. All right. What's next? Eldnir Doll. Grant 10 protection to ally commander at the start of the battle. Oh, it's so good. It's so good, dude. It's so easy S tier. Even when in this event, you go down to 1 HP and you get this doll, it's worth it. Take it. Take it. Take it. Always take it. 10 protection at the start of every combat. You're not going to get hit 10 times. You're not going to hit 11 times in a combat. Come on now. And then you can just heal up and then you'll be double safe. And it makes the hidden chapter boss trivial. It is, yeah, absolutely. Good card. Increase the mana of the commander skill by 1. So this obviously is very bad for you, but you get it in an event that makes something else cheaper or something. But either way, it's obviously D tier. You're not supposed to want it. You want your commander skill to be cheaper, and it doesn't give any benefit directly as a relic itself. So yeah, okay. Vermilion Tome, reduce the mana of commander skill by 1. Draw 1 less card at the start of each turn. And of course the Military Arts is the opposite. I think most of the time I actually just skip these. I don't take either of them. You get offered one or the other, or to skip, and I just skip. Sometimes it can be better to have your commander skill be cheaper. Sometimes. But on higher difficulties, your commander skill refreshes less often. So I'm putting them both down here in D tier. Almost always I just skip them. The extra card draw per turn is okay. If I have a really crappy commander skill, why did I pick the crappy commander skill? So yeah, I don't know. I guess if you're doing a random run, but again, that's pretty niche. The next we got is a box in a box in a box. Okay, 1 mana and draw 1 additional card each time you draw a curse card. This comes in an event that gives you 3 curse cards, 3 random ones. This can be amazing. Can be. I actually like it quite a lot. It's fun. It gives you a reason to have curse cards in your deck. I'm tempted to put it in, I think I put it in B tier. I would say, yeah, about 50% of the time I will take it. You can get really lucky with the curse cards you get added to your deck in that they're not terrible like Theism. If you just get like a sheep or the -1 mana when you draw it, or even the one that destroys a summon tile. Those are all like fine. Like sadism that destroys units every card you draw. That's really, really bad. If you're gonna dodge sadism, then a box in a box in a box is super worthwhile because it gives you mana and card draw for every single curse card you draw. So they no longer become dead draws, and they give you mana. It's great. It's obviously quite situational, but in context of the event, and plus if you have the higher difficulty sheep that becomes a curse card, that becomes much, much better. And if you have the hidden chapter letter, the letter then becomes card draw and mana. So, you know what? I think I put this in A. It is quite strong for mana generation and card draw. You can get unlucky with the curse card, but you can always just remove sadism at a shop or something, or at another event. Leaf decoration. Every deploy effect activates twice. This is good. Very good. You do need cards that have deploy, like Tribal Merchant. Hey. I mean, it is a fantastic effect. Remnants of the Creation, every last will effect activates twice, considerably less useful. Even for cards that have last will. Definitely not nearly as good. I think that's actually kind of trash. I don't know when I'd actually really pick that over double the deploy effects. Double deploy effects, I'm putting in S tier. And I'm putting the other one in the double last will effects to D tier. There just aren't that many good last will effects when a unit dies. You really benefit from getting it happen twice. But deploy effects, there's a ton of great ones. So you do have to give up an enhanced card for it, but that's almost always worthwhile. If you've got anything to spare at all. Ritual Stone, the first card you play triggers twice every turn. This is incredible. I believe you have to give up an enhanced transformed, like from Wacky Works Lab card to do it, but it's so powerful. So honestly, I think I put it at S tier as well. If you can swing it, maybe a Wacky Works Lab event went too bad and that card is just trash or kind of not what you wanted. Get rid of it. And then you have this effect. And it's just, yeah, it's incredible. Easy S tier. Statue with open arms. Gain 1 mana each turn during danger battles. I mean, it's just +1 mana permanently. It's, I don't remember what you have to do to get that. What event that is. So I'm missing some context. It is just +1 mana. And it's only for danger battles. So, I mean, I guess I put it in A rank. Yeah. I don't remember what the event is. I'm sorry. Golden Pill. Grant 1 attack damage to ally units when an ally commander's health is below half. This is honestly terrible. It's honestly so bad. Like what? Why is this? Hold on. I don't know if I showed you. Grant 1 attack damage to ally units when an ally's commander's health is below half. Just why? Why only 1? I don't. D tier. It's okay. I mean, +1 attack is fine, but I have to be below half health to do it. And then it's not worth the risk of intentionally getting the low health. So, no thank you. Let's see. Curse Stone. Increase allied units' health by 3 for each curse card on your deck. On higher difficulties, you're going to have at least 1. Probably 2 for a lot of the time. It's fantastic. It's actually such a good relic. Honestly, I put it in S tier. Honestly, yeah. Super good. Basic battle package. Grant +1/+2 to ally militia units. Obviously not fantastic. I don't remember what event gives that to you, but most of the time I'm trying to remove militia cards from our deck. But if you are doing a militia deck, which are quite strong, I do admit, if you like actually lean into them and get drill instructors, it's quite good. This relic +1/+2. It's okay. I think just B tier. It does make your militias as good as every so slightly better than the highest difficulty enemy militias, but you'd have to get it early enough where that matters. It's, yeah. If you see it and you're doing a militia deck, pick it up. Otherwise, probably not. It makes your crappy militia cards that you still had hanging around slightly better. So yeah, B rank. All right, the last ones, the boss ones. Alembic. Replace all cards health required resources with health. This applies if you're playing dwarves to the steel. So it costs 20 steel to play. It now costs 20 health. Obviously very, very niche. It's better on the human side. But if you have that in combination with Crack Shield and Cogwheel, you can only take like a couple points of damage, whatever cost the first card you play is, and then play out your entire deck on turn 1 if you wanted to. That's the best use of it. That's about it though. There's no I can't really think of much else that really makes it worthwhile. I've done it like once. I don't like it. I don't like it. I pass on it virtually every time. It's filling out our D rank here. I'm running out of space in D rank. Isn't that great? All right, what's next? Almagist. Set the mana of all cards to 1 and grant exhaust. I haven't really made great use of this, but I can see the potential for it. It might just belong in C tier. It's quite niche. You'd have to pick it over other things. You know what? No, it goes to D tier. It goes absolutely. I'm just gonna start piling D tier up over here. Yeah. I've never once picked it over the other options, even in an exhaust deck. I just don't. If you were doing a ghost deck, as usual, a ghost exhaust deck that had a lot of generation of ghosts, like every turn you got like cemetery base card, then you wouldn't necessarily need to play all your cards more than once, and them being exhaust would be fine, but then they all cost 1 mana instead of 0, and ghosts cost 0. I think it's trash. Yeah, I don't know how to use that. Lone Wolf Pipe is quite good. Only 1 unit is summoned on the first summon each turn. The attack, damage, and health of the remaining units are combined. If you'd summon 10 units, you only summon 1, but it gets the stats of its normal stats times 10. So instead of being, a 2/4, it would be a 20/40, but you only get 1 of them. So if it doesn't do area damage, or you are relying on attack buffs, etc., it's not as good. But it can do some hilariously large things, large minions. So I think what I do, I think I stick it in B. I take it reasonably often enough, but I wouldn't say always take it over some of the others. Well, the next one's very easy. Red Notice. Increase the number of units summoned by 1 when summoning units. I think this is S tier. Like, I'm always looking for one of the relics to give me plus mana, and then Red Notice. That's basically my go-tos for boss relics. So, and then the third can be whatever. But Red Notice is a staple, S tier. You're getting +1 more of any of your big, powerful units, and +1 on every all of your small units. It adds up. It adds up like crazy fast, and it's just consistent value with no strings attached. Very good. Little Star, gain 1 mana every 6 unit summons. This is quite good. I don't know if it's S tier. I think it's easily A tier, because you're quite often playing a lot of units. And it doesn't have to be in the same battle or the same turn or anything. It's just you're going to regularly get mana. Every so often you'll get extra mana. It's good. Very good. Maybe I put that at S tier, actually. I don't know. Yeah. I think there's no downsides to it. And chances are that's all you really need. Gain 1 mana during each boss battle. It's situational. You only get it during the boss battles. No danger battles. No regular battles. So you're only really benefiting from it like 2 more times. B tier. Pemmican, gain 1 mana at the start of each turn. You can no longer gain food. This one's interesting. On lower difficulties, S tier. Take it. You don't care about food. Higher difficulties, which we're going to kind of just assume you're doing higher difficulties here and doing hidden chapter boss. Food is really powerful. So I'm going to put this at B tier. You might want to take it situationally. If you're really not leaning into food at all, then take it. +1 mana as well. Otherwise, just every turn, you get +1 mana. Sensor Lid. Gain 1 mana at the start of each turn. You can no longer gain gold. And this is another one that's situational. +1 mana every round is obviously quite good. But you can no longer gain gold. Means you better be done your shopping or at least be done gaining your gold. I do take it more often than these, probably. I used to take Lone Wolf more, but I stopped, and I prefer just have more units in general. So I think maybe this counts as... Let's put it a high B rank. Let's consider it there. Let's see. Snake Nest. Gain 1 mana at the start of each turn. You no longer rest at rest sites. In the vast majority of decks, this is great. Because who cares about rest sites when you can heal at the end of chapters or just don't take damage? I'm just going to put an A rank. I think it's solid. Gain 1 mana for every 3 times you shuffle your deck. I have never gotten good value out of that. If your deck is absolutely tiny, you just got your really good card, like you got like 9 cards in your deck, you still have to shuffle it 3 times. It means you're going like every 6 turns to get a mana. I just don't think it's very good. I think it's like maybe C. Maybe. I'm assuming other people can use it better than I have. I see there being potential. But if you have that small of a deck, you probably it's probably really cheap and you probably already have a card drawn you don't need. I don't know. I think it's worse than the others for sure in the vast majority of cases. Now here's one I do take quite often. Ether Card Holder. Gain 1 mana at the start of each turn, no matter the combat type. Decrease the number of card reward choices by 1. Again, it can only go down to a minimum of 1 a lot of the time. I think this is just S tier. This is one I take the most for pure mana generation. Because by the time I get that, we're probably okay. And going down to 2 card reward choices is also just fine. I can still get what I need either way. And last but not least, Red Scale. Do not lose remaining mana at the end of the turn. So if you have a lot of mana generation, this is very niche. Very, very niche. You have a lot of mana generation and you can't spend it. Haha. I think I just put it in C tier. because that is where we've got like the poison thing. If you have both those together, yeah, that's pretty cool. But if you don't, then really, I don't know how to use it. All right, with that, after 3 hours, this is my tier list for Commander Quests relics. So the best of the best, the cream of the crop, that you're going to get incredible value from in pretty much any deck that it applies to. Absolutely take them. A tier where pretty much any deck could benefit from them. They may not all be game winning. Sometimes they'll be situationally game winning. But you're going to get incredible value pretty much no matter what, as long as you make use of them. B tier, they're nice to haves. Some of them might be spikier than others under more specific situations, but you're not going to really complain about them. C tier, they're okay. They have their uses. A lot of them are just comeback mechanics, or don't let you win more, or don't enable you to do crazy, wacky things. Some of them do under very specific cases, but it's rare, very, very rare. And then D tier are the things that I basically never take. And even if you do have good use of them, there's almost certainly something better statistically to select from, and then you pick it over them. Or they're so rare to get that, like a lot of the ones where it's like, play 3 cavalry units in the same turn, you get another one. Oh, I'm playing 3 cav units in 1 turn. They're already really cheap and or really powerful. A 4th one's not going to make a difference, you know? But hey. Or some of them are just intentionally bad because of their events. All the shop ones seem pretty terrible for the most part as well. Very, very situational. They might be good in like 1 case. Maybe. All right. Let me know in the comments what you'd rate better or worse than what I did. And as long as you keep it civil. Because, again, these are all my opinions. I tried to describe them as best as I can. Check out my videos on Commander Quest. I've got an awful lot of them. And they will show you all evidence of why I rank them here. So with that, I'll see you guys next time.